Yeah. Okay. Good morning, everyone. So my name is Vinod Kumar, and I'm a senior specialist solution architect with Red Hat. And I'll cover the last pillar of the AiOps framework, which you saw. So that's the automation piece. Now, automation is not something actually new. So automation has been used in the IT operations for a while, right? So most of you probably in your organization, you would already be doing some level of automation, whether like say being provisioning resources or like doing configuration management or much more than that, right? So in the AIOps case, what we are trying to do is we are extending the same automation to do the event-driven and self-healing based automation, right? With the help of the observability, the engagement piece, which Fahad and Chidam discussed about earlier. Now, what we are seeing in the industry is more and more organizations are moving towards this, right? So in one of the IDC study, it was estimated that 50% of their large enterprises will adopt actually AIOps by 2024. So there's a large push into that space. Now, Red Hat Ansible automation platform is has been an industry-leading automation solution which can help you in this journey. It can automate across your IT footprint, right? Across actually also diverse use cases, like from infrastructure to cloud to network automation and many more. Now, by doing this automation, it helps in providing a consistent operations and also bringing in the agility, right? So it helps to reduce the manual work, reduce human errors, and based on that, actually, it can bring in the consistency across the operations. So how can Ansible automation platform help in this automation? So Ansible automation platform actually gives this by providing simplicity and flexibility in the automation, right? So this is one of the primary goal of Ansible automation platform, right? Provide simplicity, flexibility, and also put a primary focus on the security and the reliability portion. Now, Ansible automation platform actually includes the foundation of the Ansible core. Some of you might be aware of this, right? So it provides first, the power of single universal automation language. So which means that you can automate across multiple technology domains. If I know how to automate an infrastructure server, then I can actually automate the network easily using the similar kind of a language. Then it also provides an agentless model. So that is no need to install any special agent in the endpoints to automate, right? So this allows seamless integration with variety of the technology platforms you might have, like be it cloud, network, or like security devices. Now, it also provides this simplicity of this language to kind of enable quick automation in your environment, right? So basically, because it's written in YAML simple languages, users can actually quickly start with their automation journey, performing a simple task, like which they might be doing multiple times. They can start with it and then expand to other automation use cases. Now, all these things can be done on top of multi-domain and multi-vendor endpoints. So we do that using what we call content collections, right? So certified content collections. So content collection is nothing but a group of automation content supporting various platforms and use cases, right? These are provided by Red Hat and by our partners. So as you see on the right-hand side, you will see some names. Like, so we have a Ansible automation platform has more than 130 plus certified content collections. It's still growing. And it covers various different domains, like be it infrastructure, network, security, or edge, and also the major vendors in this domain. So as you can see some of the names over here. Okay. So these automations can be used in, and probably some of you might be already using it in your environment to perform specific actions. Now, how do we apply all these things, great capabilities in AIOps, right? Specific to AIOps and perform an end-to-end automation. So we do that using what we call as event-driven automation. So basically, event-driven automation is the ability to connect some kind of intelligence, like from monitoring tool, like what Chidam was explaining earlier, or other source to kind of perform a specific action, right? So basically, this end-to-end thing can be taking place in a single motion with no or minimal kind of manual intervention, right? So like what Fahad was mentioning. So there can be different sets of actually issues which will be identified, and based on that, you can define how you want to kind of automate this. So let's take a simple example and see how it works. Okay. So this is a pretty typical outage remediation workflow. As you can see, there are multiple time-consuming manual steps involved in it. There are different teams are getting involved in it, right? So all these things, like involving different teams doing manual kind of work to identify the issues, kind of performing action on like resolving this issue, takes a long time, right? So this actually leads to a longer MTTR. Now, apart from the longer MTTR, these processes actually also brings in toil on the humans involved in the process, right? So the escalation, the time pressure, etc., actually adds a lot of toil on the operations team as well. Now, let's take this example, same example, and see how we approach it using the event-driven automation. Okay, so now in the event-driven automation, the first part actually is that the event is identified, the issue is identified, right, by using the observability tools, like so Chidam was explaining and showing how it actually Elastic does it. Now, once this particular event is identified, then that it can be triggered to notify the ticketing systems, like Fahad was showcasing how you kind of engage on a specific issue. Now, once you kind of have this issue and then you identify, okay, whether this is particular known issue, and then you want to route it to a remediation, then this is actually sent back into the evaluation stage, right? So this is a known problem. We know how to fix it. Then the system identifies the remediation action to be taken and then triggers this action, right? So the action will be kind of automated, and then it kind of goes and does all the remediation automatically. Now, all this process can be fully automated or with or without actually manual interventions, right? So there are certain cases where there is some manual intervention is required, like they come and identify, and then they can trigger what actual type of action needs to be done, which can still be an automation, or it can be an end-to-end, fully end-to-end automated, where like the system actually travels, it knows, it already knows this is a problem and knows how to fix it. It triggers an event to kind of go on or fully automated. So just to give you an example, of some of the remediation actions. So on the top, we have an incident occurring at 2 a.m. and we just triggered a ticket in the Jira, and then it has identified that, okay, it's a known issue, and then they can actually trigger an auto mitigation. So auto mitigation is triggered to the Ansible automation platform. And based on the type of the event, we can take different actions, like some examples, right? So if the CPU has exhausted, then we can go on trigger, like say creating a new instance, or like say if there is a garbage collection issue, go on change the memories, or if there is an issue in the new deployment, then go on actually switch back to a green kind of a deployment, and etc. The key thing here is this particular actually mitigation can be like fully automated, or it can actually identify, like based on the automation, it can identify there are certain things which probably it's like it didn't it requires a manual intervention. It can also then put back or notify the teams to kind of to re-engage and see like if there was a problem which was like more complex and it couldn't be solved by a simple remediation. Okay, now these use cases, whatever I was talking about, I was just giving you some examples of it, but the event-driven automation can be applied on many more domains, right? Say that, and also the diverse use case. Like for example, it can be used in networking space, like triggering network troubleshooting if there is an event which is occurring, taking remediation steps, like simply kind of changing certain configurations, security related, where we can actually perform security remediation when there is a security incident which is occurring and you want to isolate a specific port or a specific device, on as well as like application related, right? Triggering remediation for a known application issue pattern, right? You go and change like memory or restart a specific service, etc. Okay. So far, actually, all these things I was talking about on the use cases. I wanted to take a moment to kind of go into, okay, how do we do that, right? So what's inside Ansible automation platform, which helps doing this kind of automation? So there are three key building blocks in the event-driven Ansible automation. So the first one is the source of event, of course. So we need to have an event where actually is coming from like whether from Elastic or coming from actually the Jira via webhooks, or it can be coming from different sources like Kafka or like Prometheus or other sources as well. right? We can also kind of support like custom sources using different custom plugins as well. Now, once the event is identified, then you can actually have rule books. So these rule books basically are like YAML files where we document based on the prior knowledge of the systems and the users that, okay, if this specific kind of event occurs, then we kind of trigger a specific action, right? So just like if this, then that type of structure. So that's defined. And once it knows, okay, fine, this occurs, then what needs to be triggered? That's the action part. So the action part is simply calling an Ansible automation playbook to kind of do certain actions. Like, as I mentioned earlier, that like restarting a service or like kind of adding a new service instance or anything you feel that is appropriate to do that specific action, remediation, I mean. Okay, so now you might be hearing, actually, I was talking about something called rule books. And if some of you are familiar with Ansible, you might actually know what's an Ansible playbook. So the rule book is actually a new concept. So how it actually fits together with the playbook is that rule book is the place where it actually waits for an event to occur, right? So this is basically the listener where we are waiting for an event to occur. Now, once the event comes in, the rulebook actually, based on the rules we define, it goes and looks at it and sees that, okay, what action to be taken, whether it needs to do certain specific type of action. And then if it finds it, then it goes and triggers a playbook, which actually does the remediation. So the rulebook actually is the one which takes it, and then it can actually look at based on the condition, it can trigger the playbook for the remediation. So this particular kind of slide just shows you an example of the rulebook quickly. That it's the first thing, actually, if you notice this kind of rulebook, it's very similar to playbooks, like what if you are seeing, that's like just a simple YAML file, and then you define. So in this case, what we are defining is we are defining a source. So here, actually, we are just kind of listening for alerts from in the 8,000 port. So any events which is coming inside, we take it. And then we have different rules. So here, actually, we have given one single rule. So it waiting for a specific event with a specific condition. So like the job is particularly fast API and the alert status is actually firing. Then based on that, if that event occurs for that specific condition, then we go on do run a playbook. So the playbook is basically kind of restarting a web server, for example, in this scenario. It can be much more complex than this. Like you can actually have multiple kind of actions you can take on top of it, or you can have different conditions to do different actions as well. Okay. Now, why kind of actually use Ansible automation platform for this event-driven Ansible, right? Event-driven automation. The first thing is Ansible automation platform, as I mentioned, is the industry leading. It's actually in the leader space in the Forrester Wave reports, and it actually enables you to do automation, right? So it's already actually you might be using actually Ansible or Ansible automation platform to perform specific actually automation. Now we are just extending the same platform to do this event-driven automation, right? So basically a single platform for you for all your needs, whether it is standard actually automation like security patching, actually doing kind of hardening and etc., to kind of event-driven automation to do self actually healing and auto remediation as well. Then we also kind of is IT environment friendly. When we say IT environment friendly, so I described about all the content collections we have, which can actually help you to enable the automation across your IT ecosystems, be it actually in the infrastructure space or in the network space and a cloud space or any other domains. So you can have a broader kind of an automation across your environment. Then we also are very flexible in the event source to kind of rule to action. So as I think Fahad was mentioning, right? Because depending upon different types of actually issues, there can be different sets of how you want to kind of take action on, right? So you can start with like kind of user triggering a specific actually action, or it can be kind of fully automated based on certain conditions, as I was showing you in the playbooks as well. And the automation handler is, as you know, it's very, very robust and it's scalable across actually your entire organization. We'll be able to horizontally scale across as well. Okay, So the last thing I want to cover is, okay, so all these things are there, it's all good, but how do you kind of implement this AI automation? So the approach we suggest is, okay, you start with identifying some common tickets or incidents, like say, and start actually kind of converting into an event-driven automation. Like for example, the simple task can be a simple kind of incident can be like say some disk cache issues or memory issues and these kind of things. Now, at this point in time, you don't have to do the end-to-end, like fully kind of automated remediation, but it can be simply like, okay, I want to just gather some information, right? So it is not automated remediating, but it helps the user to kind of give more information so they can identify the key issues, right? So like, for example, if there is an out-of-memory error, so we collect the, like say, info on heap size, memory, running processes, etc., which can help the user to identify the root cause of it. Okay. Next, once actually this is done, then you can actually progress in creating much more complex kind of instructions, which are like basically putting into the rule books, like say specific conditions and actions you want to take upon it, and then add more like sources of information into it, right? So you can actually get more events and then to automate it. Then finally, you can expand it to using the machine learning AiOps to perform more complex and like proactive remediations, like some of them, what Chidam was also mentioning about, right? So we can actually do into that proactive mode. Now, I hope actually these ideas will give you an kind of approach on how you can actually enable an AiOps automation in your organization, right? And how you can actually move into this AiOps journey. So with that, I kind of hand over to Fahad for a quick demo.